Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. Police intensifying their search for Nancy Guthrie, conducting new search warrants at a home and SUV. The new report alleging a rare poison was used to kill a Russian opposition leader, and the latest fallout from the Epstein files, why a top Hollywood agent is selling his company. First, a flurry of activity in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. Officers converge on an Arizona neighborhood, a SWAT team entering a home, and a separate search of a Range Rover. Agents appear to detain a driver, but no sign of Guthrie 2 weeks after she went missing from her home in Tucson. And tonight, what authorities have learned from surveillance video of this person of interest. The new report on the death of Alexei Navalny in a Russian prison. European allies now say Russia likely used poison from a South American frog to kill the opposition leader. Reaction from his widow. And the news coming as Russia steps up its attacks on Ukraine. Outrage over the Jeffrey Epstein files reaching Hollywood. Top agent Casey Wasserman now selling his agency after big-name artists, including Chappell Roan, split from the company. The provocative messages that Wasserman sent to Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, plus how Epstein emails led to a shakeup at a major Wall Street firm. The severe weather threat this weekend stretching from Houston to the Florida Panhandle, and more snow coming to the Northeast, including New York City. Yet another partial government shutdown, funding halted for Homeland Security as Democrats try to put new limits on immigration enforcement. The big changes they're calling for. TSA employees among the federal workers caught in the middle, potential travel disruptions on the horizon. The urgent rescue, a child pulled from icy waters, how a teenager jumped into action. A scary sight for passengers on board a commercial jet, one of the engines shredded and catching fire in mid-flight. Plus, going for gold on this Valentine's Day and love at the Winter Games.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the
Saturday night, a country brought together in grief. A solemn vigil to support a devastated northern BC community draws support from across the country.
Know that millions of Canadians are with you.
And the promise by the BC Premier to the children and parents of Tumbler Ridge. The U.S. change in tone towards Europe.
And it is our hope to do this together with you.
The welcome show of unity at the Munich Security Conference. Plus, an Olympic record, a controversy, and the athletes' equipment that's in short supply. And very special Valentines.
First time I see so many Valentines.
A care home overwhelmed by love from around the world.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
When we leave here tonight, and some of you go back to quiet houses, some of you go back to empty rooms, please know that you're not alone. Vous n'êtes pas seul. When you wake up tomorrow and the world feels impossible, know that millions of Canadians are with you.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. During an extraordinary vigil last night, Prime Minister Mark Carney speaking to the families who lost loved ones in Tuesday's shooting in Tumbler Ridge, BC. More than 1,000 people came together outside Tumbler Ridge Town Hall to share their condolences and honor the lives lost. The Prime Minister was joined by the Governor General, the federal opposition leaders, BC's Premier and Lieutenant Governor to honor the victims and the town of Tumbler Ridge. That emotional ceremony, an act of healing for families and a community that have been shattered by the tragedy. Global's Chris Galis is in Tumbler Ridge. Chris, you were at the vigil last night.
I was, Colleen, and it was a powerful and moving ceremony, and I believe very important for the people of Tumbler Ridge to see their political leaders of all political stripes in unity, in support of their community. You can still see the remnants of what they left up on the steps at Town Hall. Even last night during the vigil, all members of the broadcast.
So hours before the search in the middle of last night, our chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt sat down with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos on the latest details of the investigation. Here is part of their exchange on working with the FBI on the recently found glove, the DNA found inside Nancy's home, and criticisms of the investigation.
That evidence that you speak of, a glove, was found several days later, maybe a couple of days ago. And the FBI said, hey, we got this glove we found. We'll submit it to our lab for DNA. I said, no, guys, let's put it to our lab. Why would you do that? Because our lab has all the markers of those people that we want. If it's your home and we're checking for a burglar, we're going to go in and do all the stuff we can to collect biological evidence. But then we start eliminating things, doing it what we call elimination of markers. Your marker. We get your swab. We get your kids, your wife, your housekeeper, your yard man, whatever it is. All those things are at my lab. And they were there at the start of this. So it only makes sense. And then we do another scene. We do another search warrant. All that goes to our lab.
Do you believe you found the DNA of the perpetrator inside the house? Do you believe that at this point?
What I know is we found DNA. And
that was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA?
That was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA.
Was there a sign of a violent struggle inside the home?
I'm going to talk to what's inside that home.
Two more questions.
What do you say to those people who are frustrated out there? You've talked at your press conferences, you've talked openly about Monday morning quarterbacking, armchair critics. What do you say to those people who are just frustrated, as I'm sure you are?
Well, sure, but and I get their frustration, but let me say this to those people. They've been of help too. A lot of those people have given us leads. I can't worry about the naysayers or the haters are going to hate. You don't like Chris Nanos, or he won an election, or you don't like all that stuff. There's plenty of time to do that afterwards. Right now, our focus is we want to find Nancy.
How did the perpetrator get inside? There's no damage on the front door that is visible to us. Sliding back door.
You're asking questions that I'm just not going to share with you. I'm sorry.
Former Las Vegas police officer Randy Sutton joins us now from Tucson. Randy, I was speaking to you in the middle of the night. We thought that there were big developments, and it seems that nothing has come of it. So where do we go from here?
Well, let's hope that they have developed some further information for where this.
Hello and very good morning to you. This is Sky News. These are your latest headlines. Scientists confirm Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was killed with a deadly poison in a Russian prison.
Now, it's not just words, it's scientific proof that my husband, Alexei Navalny, was poisoned.
Also, the Prime Minister looks for closer ties to Europe and a show of military strength, as he says we can no longer be reliant on America for our defence. Peter Mandelson is seen in public for the first time since being asked to give evidence on Epstein in Washington. And Giselle Pellico speaks publicly about how she was manipulated by the man who was supposed to love and protect her. Hello and a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here on Sky News. It's been revealed that the Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was poisoned in prison with a rare toxin. That's according to scientists from 5 European countries, including the UK. European leaders meeting at the Munich Security Conference say President Putin and the Russian government are to blame. But Moscow has denied the findings. Here's our security and defence editor, Deborah Haynes.
Seeking justice 2 years after Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny died in prison. His widow, flanked by British and other foreign ministers, reveal what they believe happened.
We have confirmed that a deadly toxin was found in Alexei Navalny's body, and that toxin has been identified as a toxin that is found in Ecuadorian dart frogs. Only the Russian government had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to use that toxin against Alexei Navalny in prison.
Yulia Navalnaya was at this same security conference in Munich when she first learned her husband was dead. He'd been in prison in Russia at the time.
It was the most horrible day in my life. I came to the stage and I said that my husband, Alexei Navalny, was poisoned. What could else happen with Putin's number one?
Hello and welcome back to Night Watch. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our main stories this hour. A bombshell accusation after the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. 5 European countries now say he was killed with a rare and lethal toxin, and they are pointing the finger directly at Moscow. The Kremlin denies any involvement. French President Emmanuel Macron calls for calm after the fatal beating of a 23-year-old man linked to the far right in Lyon. The killing following clashes around a protest against hard-left MEP Rima Hassan has reignited political tensions. And a moment of history is made for European space exploration as France's Sophie Adenau becomes the second French woman in space. She's part of a 4-astronaut crew which has now docked at the International Space Station on an 8-month scientific mission. Alexei Navalny was killed.
This is DW News live from Berlin. Hundreds of thousands rally in Munich against the regime in Iran. They turned out to express their anger at the crackdown on government opponents as world leaders met in southern Germany. Earlier, America's top diplomat told the Munich Security Conference the US and Europe must cherish their transatlantic ties.
We want allies who can defend themselves so that no adversary will ever be tempted to test our collective strength.
Marco Rubio spoke of unity going some way to ease concerns that the US is rolling back its commitment to Europe's defence. And the Kremlin is accused of using poison from a rare South American frog to kill the Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Germany's foreign minister says the poisoning must have consequences.
Live Saturday, February 28 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Today, the Prime Minister announces a $3.9 billion down payment towards a major shipyard project for South Australia.
We do live in an uncertain world, but we can be certain of the economic benefit to the tune of $30 billion going forward here in South Australia.
A 31-year-old man held in custody charged with 11 offences after a police pursuit and deadly crash in Sydney. The Kremlin dismisses findings from 5 European nations that it killed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny in prison using a rare toxin. Australia's most successful Olympics yet as Takara Anthony wins gold in the women's dual moguls.
Just a lot of unknowns and was feeling a bit out of practice, but was able to build throughout the day, and I think I put down some pretty solid runs.
Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Melissa McKay. 10,000 jobs are expected to be created as part of a $30 billion AUKUS shipyard project in South Australia. The facility in Adelaide's north will include a training academy and 3 main areas for the construction of AUKUS nuclear submarines. Reporter Stephanie Richards is at the site in Osborne.
The federal government says this new $30 billion shipyard will be about 10 times the size of the existing Osborne South development site just behind me. To put a bit of context about what's going into this project, the government says there'll be about 126,000 tonnes of structural steel, which equates to the weight of about 17 Eiffel Towers. One of the halls that's going into this new shipyard is about 2.5 times the length of Adelaide Oval alone. So it's a huge project, and this is all being constructed.
This is Asia Now.
Hello and good morning. It's 11 a.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 8:30 in New Delhi, 10 a.m. in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers. At this hour, top U.S. and Chinese diplomats strike a measured tone in back-to-back speeches at the Munich Security Conference, laying the groundwork for a potential Trump-C summit in April. British and European officials level fresh accusations against Moscow, alleging the Kremlin used a rare frog-derived toxin to kill the opposition figure Alexei Navalny 2 years ago. Plus,
from today, we are all free, with the true essence of freedom and rights restored.
The incoming Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Tariq Rahman, calls for unity, dedicating his party's victory to those who sacrificed in the student-led uprising that ended Sheikh Hasina's 15-year rule. He's set to be sworn in on Tuesday alongside newly elected lawmakers.
Africa News. The news.
The main opposition leader of Guinea-Bissau, Domingos Moes Pereira, appeared before a military court on Friday. He is suspected by the transitional authorities of involvement in several coup attempts. He was there to respond, and he had to respond precisely because all doubts that may exist regarding this situation must be dispelled. Leading the historic party that won Guinea-Bissau's independence in 1974, Pereira was arrested during the November 2025 military coup that toppled President Umaro Sissoco Embalo. Released on January 31st, he remains under house arrest. Regarding the house arrest, the court told us that this measure has nothing to do with the case. It is unrelated to the proceedings. Now, if it has no connection to this case and was not a decision issued by the military court, we will have to determine what other avenues are available to resolve the matter of the house arrest. The military court informed us that it is not linked to the case. It is not a decision they issued. 5 coups since independence have left Guinea-Bissau in chronic instability, where corruption and drug smuggling thrive amid crippling poverty. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni arrived in Addis Ababa on Friday, greeted by her Ethiopian counterpart Abiy Ahmed for the second Italy-Africa summit, the first held on African soil. The gathering brings together heads of state, government officials, and business leaders to deepen political and economic partnerships under Italy's Mattei Plan for Africa, a framework launched in 2024 to foster structured long-term cooperation with the continent. That is our approach, because the challenge of a completely new cooperation that we have set ourselves is based above all on Africa's ability to live off its own wealth, to transform its raw materials and not allow them to be plundered, to cultivate its fields, to provide work and prospects for its best energies, while being able to rely on stable governments and dynamic societies. Addressing leaders on the thorny issue of immigrants, Meloni declared Italy has no interest in exploiting migration to obtain cheap labor, vowing instead to tackle its root causes. We have no interest in exploiting migration to obtain cheap labor for our production systems. We want to combat the root causes that force too many young people to leave the place where they were born and raised, preventing them from contributing as they would like to the progress and development of their nations. Convened along the African Union Summit, 2 years on, the Matei Plan has engaged 14 African nations with nearly 100 projects spanning energy, food security, and digital infrastructure.
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.